Good morning. This is me, McCall Woodshop. I'm Jeremy Wilson, and if you're subscribed, you already know that I'm redoing my garage. If not, I'm redoing my garage in pallet wood, and you might want to subscribe to check it out. The next installation in this is this wall here. From here to about here, which is on the other side of my drill press. So what I need to do is tear all this out and build a drill press cart. The reason I need to tear this out first is because I need to plywood from what's there. And I have a new sheet left over from the CB desk. You might want to check that video out. I'll leave a link up here somewhere, maybe over here, I'm not sure. But anyway, I'm going to use that new piece of red oak for my sides, and we'll reuse as much of this as possible. Now this has 24-inch drawers, 3 of them. I'd like to have at least 4 because I have 2 drawers here that are still full of stuff. Those are all dresser drawers. Those are gone. We're getting rid of those. Maybe I'll use them as a shelf. I don't know. I think we're just going to get rid of them. But anyway, I want 4 drawers in here. This is my step stool that I think I'm going to get rid of too. Or we may flip it over, become a drawer. We'll figure it out. So, let's get started. I built this shelf a few years ago, and it's worked out okay. And I put this sheet up here to keep the dust off everything I was storing. Well, you see how well that's working. That bottom shelf is actually a closet door that come out of my bedroom. It's a hollow core, and it's been working pretty well for a shelf for a couple years. Now it's time to go. Got to put something nice in there. So let's fast forward real quick. So that's where we ended up. Now I have all this wood. I have this left over from the toolbox top build that has just been sitting over here under the bench. So we're going to use it as the very top for that. So we're going to run our dimensions based on this, and everything else will get piled in it. We'll be using this for the pretty sides, and then we'll probably make a face frame out of some pallet wood up there. So just like everybody else, I went to YouTube to see what kind of drill cart I wanted to build. Well, I quickly found out that all the drill carts are pretty much all the same. They're a box filled with a bunch of drawers to keep drill bits and drill bit accessories close to the drill press. What I'm showing you here is the holes that I cut out of this plywood from the last setup. So, after doing a lot of research, I found a couple of designs that I liked, but didn't really suit the way my shop was going to be set up. I did find one video that showed a guy who slid his drill press in from the back side through a slot in his top, in a sacrificial top, I guess you would call it, or maybe a subconscious top. I don't know, but he had it bolted underneath the top that you seen, and there was a slot in the back to slide it in and out. I thought that was kind of cool. So that's what we're kind of go with here, except we're not going to put a slot in the back. We're going to drill a hole in the center and assemble everything through the top. So I took a measurement to see where my drill press plate landed, and so what I'm doing is I'm clamping this fence, a sacrificial fence if you will, so that I am able to get this sacrificial top or subconscious top put in. That way everything will line up nice and tight. Once I've got everything tight to the fence, I can go ahead and sink some pocket hole screws and call this side done, and then we'll flip it over, and when you know it, do the same thing to the other side, checking to make sure everything's square while we do it. As I'd mentioned earlier, all the drill presses carts that I had seen were a bunch of boxes with some drawers in them. So, of course, we're going to put some drawers in them. But I need drawers that I can use and that are not going to be just a place to collect a bunch of junk. And since this drawer box is different size than my previous drawer box, we will have to make new drawers. And since it already had drawer slides, I'm not going to go and throw away a $20 set of drawer slides. So I guess these ones are going to have drawer slides also. So I'm going to use the 3 sets I already have, and then I will have to buy 2 more sets to finish up the drawer box. So after getting all my drawer boxes made, I went ahead and put a groove profile all the way around to finish up my face plates. It's just a 1/4 inch, no, maybe 1/2 inch groove. I can't remember for sure. But I did the end grains first, and then we'll do the long grain second. That way I don't have any tear out anywhere. So remember to do that first. Router your end grains first, and then router your long grain. That way your tear out is minimal. Once all my slides are installed and the drawers fit nice and good, I can go ahead and secure the back plate. We're just going to use pocket holes for this, as to where nobody's going to see it. Now that my back is nice and secure and my box seems like it's pretty solid, we'll go ahead and mount the drill press and start taking some measurements for the top. So I didn't feel like that 3/4 inch plywood was going to be sturdy enough, so I'm taking some 2x4s, and from the sides and the bottom I'm going to put some 2-inch screws in to help keep that plywood nice and solid so it doesn't warp or sink. Now I can cut my top to width. There's not going to be any cutting the top to length because it's already shorter than what I really wanted, but it is just long enough to work for this project. So to keep from scrapping it, we're going to cut a little bit off and keep the length as it is. So in my profession, not woodworking, the 2 words monkey and football come to mind in this particular portion of this video. What I am trying to do is figure out where this hole is supposed to go, and I'm doing this by putting my top where it should be as far as front and back, and then using this drywall square on the front and back of the pole to show me where to drill the front and back of this hole. Now if you're really good at math and better at measuring than I probably am, this is probably not going to be an issue for you. But if I don't have to measure, I don't, and I certainly do not like doing math. So I tend to do stuff like this, and somehow it works just fine. And I was right, it worked just fine. So in my last video, I had talked about buying a 3-inch hole saw because it was going to be used on 2 projects. Well, this is the second project. And 3-inch worked just perfect for this project. Not as much so the last project, but this one, it worked fantastic. Now you may be wondering if all this work, extra measuring, extra energy, is worth the effort for a tool that I don't use that much. And to that I would say abso-freaking-lutely. It is absolutely worth all this energy once I get to the finished project. Because one of the worst parts about using this drill press is having to clean up after this drill press, because all of the nooks and crannies that all of the dust gets into is impossible to clean out. Unless you have the correct vacuum attachments or an air gun that blows your sawdust everywhere, you end up with it stuck up underneath your drill press, and you drop drill bits and they slide down underneath of it. This kind of top eliminates all of it. All you have to do is hit it with a brush and everything is now off the top of your table. So, one of the biggest problems about doing this is you have to take your drill press apart. Once you have your drill press apart, then all you have to do is take the top and slide it down over top of your pole. Then you can measure your gaps on either side and go ahead and drive some screws in it. You can glue it down, but I don't suggest it. I'm just going to run some screws in it because if I do decide to upgrade this drill press, then all I have to do is take my top off, dismount it from the sacrificial, and put the new drill press in place and line it up with a hole, and then it's good to go. Once that's all done, I lay it down and we're going to throw some 3-inch wheels on it. That way I can move it around the shop and out of the way when necessary. Once we get the wheels back on it, we can stand it back up and put a sacrificial plate on to hide all the ugly of the sacrificial shelf. Again, here we're not using any glue. We're just going to pre-drill some holes and use some pan head screws to hold this plate in place. That way, in case I ever need to get access, all I have to do is pop out the 4 screws and boom, I'm in there like swimwear. Now that that's in place, we can move on and use the Kreg jig to drill for our drawer hardware, and then we can go on to finish this thing up. I have decided on this Minwax aged barrel stain. Now, the reason I picked this was that way all of my shop fixtures can stand away from the natural walls. That way they won't blend in or bleed out on camera. Everything will have its own color, and I don't know, I think it looks pretty good myself. I was quite conflicted before I decided to use this stain on this top because that top looked so pretty as it was. I think a natural polyurethane or the armor seal, in which I use a lot on projects like this, would have just made that top pop like nobody's business. But the gray, it kind of made all the colors come together, and I don't know, I'm just happy as I could be with it, I guess. What do you think about the choice of color? Would you have went with the gray, or did you even know about the gray? I think the gray looks pretty good now that I got it all on there. Putting it back together was a little bit of a chore. I had to put that rag on top of it, that way I could use my foot for leverage. Kind of saved my back a little bit, especially with this heavy motor that's coming up. That thing was about a monster, really. Pretty stout. Now, I've had this together for a couple of weeks before y'all were seeing this video, or even hearing this voiceover. And I can tell you what, I should have done this from the very start, because where this was and how it was mounted was limiting my in-feed to my planer. Now the only thing limiting my feed to the planer is the out-feed, which we will be working on that here in a month or two. You have to subscribe and check that video out. I should be able to move both of these around and not limit that feed anywhere. So, here it is, all finished. Now, this is the Harbor Freight drill press, and it's not great, but it's enough for what I use it for. I don't use it enough to replace it, and I use it too much to get rid of it. So, I've made it more functional. I put a few more drawers in it, and made it lower so that I can get to the belts easier. without the step stool. And made it a lot easier to clean. All I gotta do is hit it with a brush now and it cleans the top right off, instead of needing a vacuum to suck out all the little ports on there. I got a little O-ring here on the back. It keeps it from getting down inside this area. And if I ever do decide to upgrade it, I can just unbolt it from the top, pull everything off, put the new one in, and then put everything back down. But I don't see me upgrading it anytime soon. So, we'll give you a tour around here, show you what I got in the drawers. This bottom drawer, the bottom drawer is made for the bigger tools that I don't use very often. And I have a lot of fasteners and extras in there. More fasteners and extras in there. And then we have the drill bit drawer, which is the same size as it was before. And then I got this little extra drawer for all the manuals, some gloves, and the clipboard, in which I make all my crappy drawings on. See that drawing? Yeah, you seen that last video. So, I'll give you a quick tour around here, and you can check it out. This will not be its final home. Its final home will actually be over in the far corner once I get that wall done. But for now, it's going to live here. And I got to start on a bench that's going to span this area. So make sure y'all subscribe and check out that video when it comes up. So I'm going to go get started on that, and we'll see y'all next time.